From lovely Baker to off with their heads? Man, things change fast in Wonderland. Hi everyone, I am Rainbow Heart's Villain Thoughts, a book nerd who loves reading gay romance and villain backstories slash retellings of old fairy tales that circle around the villain. And let me tell you, today I have a book that really scratches the itch I've been having for a good villain backstory. Now, real quick, this is a spoiler-free review of the book Heartless, which is a backstory to none other than Wonderland's most ferocious monarch, the Queen of Hearts. Also, before we continue, I do want to point out something. I know in the last video I did say that the next book I'd review was The Last Courtesan of Olympus. Now, while this is coming out before that, I do promise the next book after Heartless that I review will be The Last Courtesan of Olympus. I promise. I've had this book stuck in my head for 2 weeks after finishing it, and I really, really want to talk about it. So, here we are. Alright, so this book is called Heartless, and it is written by none other than New York Times best-selling author Marissa Meyer, who has written quite the large amount of books focused around fairy tale retellings. Now, these books are for young adults, as is Heartless. Heartless is a young adult fantasy featuring romance and heartbreak. And as I said before, is the backstory to the Queen of Hearts is life before she became the feared monarch. So here's the summary. Young Kath is the daughter of nobility and is expected to live a noble life and marry the king if her mother has her way. But all Kath wants to do is open the best bakery in all of Hearts with her maid slash best friend, Marianne. Her dream, however, is sidetracked when the king decides he does want her by his side. Add a flirtatious court joker and a pinch of monster from legend, and this might just be the recipe for a Queen of Hearts tart. A tart Kath doesn't want to make, but may have no other choice. My thoughts. Now, when I first saw this book, my inner fanboy lost it. I have loved Alice in Wonderland since high school. Despite knowing about it as a kid, it didn't really become a big thing to me until high school. And let me tell you, when I saw this book early this year, I was head over heels in love with this idea, and I had to know the backstory to the Queen of Hearts. Now, I did read another book before this that is a story of the Queen of Hearts, and I might review that book at some point if you guys would like. But as for now, this one does pertain only to Heartless. Now, I gotta say, when I was reading this book, it was so good. It is a prequel to Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, which was written by Lewis Carroll. And it is just amazing. I know I've said that already, but this is a book that I fell absolutely in love with. From the very first paragraph, it had me hooked. And not once throughout the book did I ever feel let down or led astray from the plot. And this book, being a prequel to Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, really shows it with the characters that appear in this book. This book has a plethora of beloved characters from the original novel in this book, is storyline. Every character is shown how they became who they were, or who they become. And none of the characters being there throws off the main story. All of them have a purpose and reason. And none of their becomings of who they become, that was a weird word, um, None of it derails the plot or story. It all makes sense and all adds to Kath's future or her actions themselves are its consequences. Now, while this book does feature many characters from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, it is worth pointing out that some characters do not make appearances in this book because either A, they were original characters from Alice in Wonderland via Disney is live action, or Disney is original animated film. And some characters simply just did not appear in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland like you may think they did, so they don't appear in this book. However, one certain creature of nightmares does appear in this book, but what that creature is, I won't tell you. You'll have to read to find out. However, there is one character I will talk about briefly that does appear in this book, and I say that because you might be a little confused. This character is actually a mix of Carol's original character and the adapted version of this character by Walt Disney is live action Alice in Wonderland. He has an eye patch. That's all I'll say. You'll have to find out. This book is amazing with its plots, its twists, its ability to cover these characters' stories without derailing too far from the actual center plot. And one thing I'll say is the whimsy is not missing. While this book is a bit more serious than Alice's Adventures in Wonderland was, it still has that whimsical, childlike innocence to Wonderland, with hints of danger and oppression, though. And by oppression, I mean for young Kath. Now, this book is such an emotional roller coaster. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was thrown around so much while reading this book. I had hope, I had joy, I had sorrow, I had heartbreak, I had laughs. I had moments where I thought someone was a character when in actuality they were an original character, which by the way, this book does feature some original characters and characters that don't appear in Lewis Carroll's work but are from other things, including one from a nursery rhyme. Now, I will admit, this book had me hoping for a different outcome, but if you know Alice in Wonderland, you know the Queen of Hearts, so you already probably know how this book is going to end. But the beauty of Heartless is not the ending, but how we get there. And let me tell you, this author, she did an amazing job of the journey that gets us from noble lady who wants to bake to the heartless and cruel Queen of Hearts. Now, I will say that this book is a good reflection of how women are treated by family and society. And it really shows in this book how women get the backhand of the deal. However, I am a man, and I feel it's inappropriate for me to talk about this subject without mansplaining it, and I don't want to do that. So I highly recommend if you want to see in depth about how this reflects women in real life, that you do check out some female book reviewers on this book, which I'm sure there are out there because again, I don't feel it's proper for me to talk about it as a man. Without, of course, misinterpreting something or explaining it in a bad way. So, but I really love how this book does show that and brings it to the front and center. However, while I can't talk about how women are affected by the book, I can talk about how this book also reflects LGBTQ plus people as a gay man. Now, this book, obviously, though, isn't about a queer character. Kath is very much straight, And as far as I can tell, there are no queer characters in this book, which is not a bad thing. I want to make that very clear. But a big reason why I wanted to also cover villain backstories and villain retellings was because I see these characters reflected in my own community. And by that, I mean how they're viewed from original stories. And the backstories tell us, hey, that was not the full tale. Now, let me tell you, this book reflects how LGBTQ plus people are seen in a heartbreaking way. We are always told that villains are evil and they're rotten to the core, they're cruel people, and we've seen this in multitude of films, TV shows, and books. And only most recently, the past couple years, have we gotten books that actually delve into backstories of villains. From Wicked to the Villain series by Serena Valentino to Heartless to so many books that have actually books and TV shows and movies that have delved into the villain is story and made them more human. But the view of them being evil at heart or being bad people just for existing really is reflective of how the LGBTQ plus people are treated. We are oftentimes villainized for just existing. And, well, while it's a very sad thing, it does happen more than we would like. Oftentimes, people are treated as less or told they're evil or rotten by people that they once loved. Family, classmates, ex friends, or even complete strangers in real life or online are constantly villainizing gay people, trans people, bisexuals, lesbians, and non binary people. Now, not everyone does that, thankfully, but our community has a very long standing history of being villainized as bad people, when in truth, a majority of us are not bad. Also, in this book, I see reflected of how society is normalness typically takes away another person's rights. We are told how to behave, how to act, and if that doesn't fit into society, you're kicked out, you're villainized, or you're shoved into the box or the closet until you can learn to quote unquote behave. Now, this book doesn't really get into that, but it does show Kath being treated differently because she is a woman. And while a lot of this is reflective of older time periods, still today people are kind of forced in the closet. We see this in Hollywood, we see this in celebrities in general, and we see this in normal everyday people as well in different countries and even sometimes here in the US. So it's very sad, but unfortunately it happens. And I think this book reflects some of that very well. Now, I can't get into more details on this review or any details at all that is, but my next video will be a spoiler review slash discussion for Heartless. So look out for that if you've already read Heartless, or make sure to check that video out after you've read Heartless. For now, though, please just trust me. This book is really good. You're gonna love it. Would I recommend this book? Absolutely. If you love Alice in Wonderland, whether it's Lewis Carroll's original novel, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, or Disney's three different adaptations of Alice in Wonderland, excuse me, or any of the various other adaptations for TV and film of Alice in Wonderland, you are going to love this book. However, you don't have to love Alice in Wonderland to enjoy this book or have ever read it. You can also enjoy this book if you love a good villain backstory. Because trust me, this book meets that criteria quite well. I really think anyone can enjoy this book, whether you're a young adult or an adult. It speaks to women. It speaks to members of the LGBTQ plus, and I think it could speak to straight cisgender men as well. An eye opener of how women are treated, and a good call out to kind of put an end to that. And also, let's be honest, this story is so good. I think no matter what you're looking for, what I've talked about, you're going to like this book, as it's really good, and the whimsy, the cruel, brutal honesty, the plot, amazing. What would I rate this book? Now, in the past, I gave The Haunting Between Us a 4 Rainbow Hearts rating, I believe. However, I think this book is going to be the first 5 out of 5 Rainbow Hearts rating. This book just absolutely tore into me near the end. It broke my heart in the most tragic way. And to this day, it is haunting me. It is bothering me. And the fact is, I knew it was going to happen. I knew the Queen of Hearts is ending because of Alice in Wonderland, but I still hoped against all odds it wasn't the case. Um, you know, but again, the journey to get there is the main purpose of this book, and it was so well done, so beautifully explained. I really think the author, Miss Marissa Meyer, I hope I'm saying her last name right. I think she's an amazing author, and she did such an amazing job with Heartless. I just can't get over it. So 5 out of 5 Rainbow Hearts, most definitely. Alright, that's going to do it for this review. However, I do want to say, if you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the like button, as it does help the channel. Also, if you want to be notified of when I upload more book reviews or book discussions, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell and turn on all notifications, not just clicking the bell, as that doesn't give you that doesn't let you get all notifications from my channel. Instead, it gives you custom ones, which in my experience doesn't really send any notifications at all. um Also, let me know in the comments down below, is Heartless a book you want to pick up, or is it a book you want to put down? And if you have read the book, without spoilers, let me know. Did you love this book too? Or was this book a little dry and brittle for your tastes and sweets? That was a bad pun. I apologize. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this. Also, once again, I will be uploading a next video which will be about a discussion of this book, which will contain spoilers. So please be aware, if you haven't read the book yet, or you don't want spoilers, and if you have read the book and you just don't care about my opinion, I understand, I won't get hurt, then you might want to avoid the next video on this book. However, after that, I do intend to review The Last Courtesan of Olympus, which is an adult erotica book, which means no young adults and especially no kids, please. I won't get into any inappropriate details with that book because of, one, I don't want spoilers given to you, and two, obviously YouTube guidelines. But still, it's going to be a review for adults only. Um, anyway, I'll see you guys next time, and don't forget, my fellow readers, keep reading and stay safe. Bye, guys, and ladies and gentlemen, and non binary pals.